by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
Today, the Senate is expected to vote on a bipartisan budget deal. I'm Hannah Doba with the details on why this agreement faces opposition from both Republicans and Democrats in the House.
And closer to home, Bozeman City Commission wants to ensure that city contractors follow equal pay guidelines. How that might happen, also coming up.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us on your Thursday. Current time 6:29. Lots to talk about in the weather.
Yeah, things are getting interesting, aren't they, Matt? We're talking about an interesting couple of days here.
You can't shut me up. You can only hope to contain me, right? Yeah, this weather, this is going to be a really interesting storm heading our direction. Very cold temperatures heading our direction. I'm going to be talking about this consistently over the next 24 hours, whether you like it or not. Temperatures will be dropping quickly because of that. We do have winter weather advisories both east and west of the divide. It doesn't cover all of southwest Montana, but certainly along the interstate lines we'll be dealing with some significant changes. Today, daytime highs into the 40s. We'll see rain showers late in the afternoon. By the evening, we're looking at scattered snow showers trying to move back to the area. We'll, of course, talk more in depth about your forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Containment duties. That's what we have for Matt. That's it. I didn't know who was going to get it, so there you go.
Oh, today is the day Congress has to either agree on a new budget plan or face another government shutdown.
Now, while the Senate seems set on a plan to move forward, two separate groups in the House are saying not so fast. CBS's Hannah Doba explains.
The Senate is expected to vote on and pass a budget compromise today, hammered out by leadership from both sides of the aisle.
No one would suggest it is perfect, but we worked hard to find common ground.
It has required concessions, sometimes painful, by both sides.
The crux of the deal raises federal budget caps for 2 years, almost equally on defense and domestic spending. President Trump hailed the news, tweeting in part, "The budget agreement today is so important for our great military. It ends the dangerous sequester and gives Secretary Mattis what he needs to keep America great." Two groups in the House, though, may prove to be a roadblock. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi spoke for more than 8 hours, the longest continuous speech on the House floor in well over a century. She and some Democrats say without a commitment from Speaker Paul Ryan to put the DACA immigration issue to a vote, they won't support the bill.
What are you afraid of? Give us a vote. Let the House work its will.
And conservative Republicans worry the increased spending is fiscally irresponsible.
And they're selling out our kids and grandkids by making them suffer under the burden of tens of trillions of dollars in debt that they cannot possibly pay.
The Senate deal also funds the government itself for just 6 more weeks. That's another stopgap measure, though, since if after that time lawmakers can't agree on a long-term deal, the government could face another shutdown. Hannah Doba, CBS News.
Now, that deal also earmarks some $90 billion for areas hit by hurricane hit by hurricane and wildfires, $20 billion of infrastructure, and $6 billion for the opioid crisis.
In other news, a little closer to home this morning, Bozeman City Commissioners are still reviewing the city's strategic plan, and one piece of the plan is who the city is dealing with that contract. Now, Commissioner Terry Cunningham says the board will be reviewing a resolution to ensure any project will take the taxpayer dollars to be done by a company or organization that promotes equal pay. The city of Bozeman has long aligned itself with equal pay for equal work, and Cunningham says this is just taking that alignment one step further.
The recommendation is to have a feasibility study to study whether or not we can do this, whether or not we can enforce and require our contractors to have a policy for equal pay for equal work.
Now, there will be an opportunity for the public to comment on the piece of the strategic plan in about a month.
In other news, last month, Bozeman Fire Chief Josh Waldo asked the Montana Department of Transportation to consider lowering the speed limit on Interstate 90. Now, 6 local safety officials are asking MDT to look at the issue again. Around Bozeman and Belgrade city limits, the speed limit on Interstate 90 is 75. In many other large cities around the state, the speed limit in city limits drops down to 65. According to MDT, a study was done a few years back that showed the Bozeman area of Interstate 90 did not need to drop down to 65 miles per hour. The agency says it will not conduct another study on the speed limit until the population reaches 50,000 people, which at current growth rates would be in about 2020.
We've had some emergency vehicles hit this year in the last couple of months. The Sheriff's Department specifically had some vehicles hit. And with the growth that we've seen, increased traffic, we feel that it's time, we would like a fresh look at it.
By the way, if you'd like to, you can read that letter. Go visit our websites. Also in other news, the main runway at the Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport will close for more than 9 hours each day for nearly 3 weeks this coming spring. But airport officials, I should say the closure will not affect local flights. That's because the airlines are adjusting schedules so that flights arrive before or after the closure hours from the 30th of April until the 19th of May. The runway will be shut down so crews can do repair and rehabilitation work. Airport Director Brian Springer says this is routine work that is needed on the runway about every 15 years. He says he's happy that the impact on travelers will be minimal due to the altered schedules. Springer also says Delta will initiate direct flights from Bozeman to Atlanta every Saturday beginning in May.
In other news this morning, a jury in Billings has found a man charged with human trafficking guilty on all counts. Terrence Edwards is the defendant in that case. His co-defendant was also found guilty of tampering with one victim. MTN's Asia Gore reports.
Well, good evening. On the witness stand, Terrence Edwards claimed the victims were, in his words, hustle buddies, making money in a mutual, respectful way. But jurors agreed with prosecutors that Edwards manipulated, abused, and coerced 3 young women into prostitution. This is not Edwards' first conviction for prostitution. In fact, Edwards was still on probation for his prior prostitution conviction when he began creating ads for these new women. Edwards claimed his last run-in with the law taught him right from wrong, but prosecutors said he was a pimp then and now. Edwards' co-defendant Francine Joanne Granados was convicted of witness tampering. Investigators revealed Granados contacted victims on Edwards' behalf to keep them from telling authorities the truth. A sentencing date has yet to be set. Back to you.
Now here's an update on something that we first told you about yesterday. The father of 3 missing boys from Michigan says the bones found in a Missoula shed this fall are not the remains of his children. A cleaning crew found a box containing skeletal remains in a shed on the 2100 block of South 12th Street West that included a partial human jawbone and other bone fragments. Investigators believe that those bones came from 3 children. The discovery got the attention of police in Michigan, who were looking for 3 brothers who vanished back in 2010. Their father is in prison in connection to the case, and he recently told the Detroit TV station that those bones are not those of his 3 boys, Andrew, Alexander, and Tanner. The boys were last seen in 2010 after John Skelton failed to return them to his estranged wife after a visit. He later claimed that he gave the boys away to protect them from their mother, and he hasn't seen them since. DNA testing is being done on the remains found in Missoula. However, it's not known if there's enough material to get proper identification.
In other headlines, Montana lawmakers say they want more answers from the Federal Department of Agriculture about claims that meat processors in the state have faced harassment from food inspectors. During a hearing on Wednesday, the Economic Affairs Interim Committee discussed sending a letter to the department calling for an independent investigation of those allegations. The most prominent case involves Riley Meats, a processing facility in Butte. The owner claims a federal food safety inspector has targeted his business for years, citing him for violations that have no basis in federal regulation. Montana's representatives in Congress have also called for the department to release more information about the allegations and any steps taken to address them. State Representative Nate McConnell of Missoula says leaders across Montana are speaking with a unified voice.
It doesn't really matter if you're Republican or Democrat or live in a town or live out in the country. This is an issue that affects all of us. This is somebody who comes in and simply makes up rules and then punishes somebody for not having followed those made-up rules. We don't like that in Montana.
Now, the interim committee's letter calls for new investigation into inspection procedures and for the results of the investigation to be made public.
In the last 10 years, the number of railroad accidents in the state has gone down 55%, along with 63% decrease in railroad employee injuries. Rail safety is a big issue in Montana because the state's economy is very rail dependent. Now, of the 8 states that are in the region of the Federal Railroad Administration, Montana is in the 3rd place in terms of improvement. Now, the 2 states that had more improvement were Alaska and Wyoming. Brad Johnson, chairman for Montana Public Service Commission, says crews completed 360 inspections and found more than 1,400 defects, leading to 14 violations.
When we see the kind of good news that we saw this week with regard to the reduction in railroad accidents and railroad employee injuries, we wanted to share that good news. And we have been working very hard here at the Commission to improve our participation in the whole rail safety area.
Now, the Federal Railroad Administration works with industry stakeholders and organizations that aim to reduce railroad casualties.
Well, the Butte Public Library is seeking local artists to help with an upcoming exhibit at the library. The artwork will be displayed in the library's Carly Gallery on the 3rd floor of the library next month under the theme Wilds of Montana. Organizers are asking artists to be as creative as they want to be.
You know, you can go literal and go looking for the great wilds out there, or you can push the boundaries and maybe give us something else that you consider as wilds of Montana, but may not necessarily involve wildlife and trees.
Very cool. Submissions can be made at the Butte Library website. Must be in by February 20th.
That is pretty cool.
That would be cool. I think I'm going to send a picture of one of our news meetings back there.
That's good. Or maybe the drawing that you did yesterday with your smiley face and your mustache.
That's pretty wild.
There you go.
We'll see what happens.
We're so glad to have you with us here on this Thursday morning. Coming up, Americans are overworked, stressed out, and sleep deprived. No surprise, it's showing up on the roadways.
Yeah, drowsy driving just ahead. But first, here's Noah O'Donnell with a look at what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead here on CBS This Morning, we sit down with some of the parents of Larry Nassar's victims, how they found out about the sexual assaults and who they think still needs to be held accountable. And the effort to serve your morning cup of coffee with a cancer warning. Well, we'll explain the science behind these claims and what our Dr. Agus thinks about them. We'll see you right at 7.